Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another fantastic but challenging machine on the VulnHub, which is Glasgow Smile 2. I'd like to take this video to showcase some steps in detail, but the most important of all is to use Python to implement decryption. However, before getting there, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's head over to Kali Linux to begin with. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine. The utility I'd like to use, as always, would be netdiscover. Alright, as you can see over here, the IP address of the target machine could be recognized as 37. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and self-scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already done that before. So now we can simply get out its result. As you can see over here, I took the options like sync scan, the version scan, and then default script scan followed by the full range port scan. The last option for all is ON to output the result into this file. Although you can notice here, the IP address of the target machine has been changed since I re-imported the machine into the VMware. But this doesn't affect our operation. From the map scanning results, we can tell that the target has 1, 2, 3 open ports. Of course, the last one, you can see the state is filtered. Maybe, I think there would be two possible reasons. The first reason, such a port can be open after we can make port locking. Okay? So this is the first possible reason. And the second reason is that possibly this port is only open to local or open locally. Okay? So now let's take a look at other ports. The first one is 22. And the service is SSH service or secure shell service. And also we can get the version information, including the exact version number. I don't think we can find any workable vulnerability or exploit for this particular version. Let's move on. The second port number is 80, and the service is HTTP. And similarly, we also can get its version information, including version number Apache 2. And the next one, the 83. So from the output for the port number 80 and 83 looks the same, right? So what are we going to do next? We need to enumerate both applications. I mean, both web applications. So now let's fire up the browser to perform manual enumeration first. We can put the IP address of the target machine into the address bar of the browser. 37. Press enter. So we got this site loaded, and there is one image. We can download this image to our working directory on the Kali Linux. And also we can check its source code. As you know, sometimes source code can leak something sensitive, but it's not for this case. So next we can try to use xf2 to retrieve metadata of this image. But we didn't find anything suspicious. So now we can try to check whether this site has robot file, right? Oh, sorry about, this should be robots, and not found. Next, we can launch Nicto to perform automatic enumeration. You know, Nicto can output the information about the web application from a variety of aspects, such as the version information or banner, the request header, and allowed HTTP methods. You know, sometimes if the target machine allows dangerous method, such as put, and then Pentester can make use of this dangerous method to upload web shell to the target machine. Okay, but in this case, we didn't find such dangerous method. Okay, nothing special or interesting from Nicto. Next, let's launch the Gobuster to perform directory enumeration. And we can use W option to specify the word list. Directory. Okay, so now Gobuster starts its directory enumeration for us. In the meantime, we can take a look at the second port number, which is also running web application. So we can do some jobs in parallel way. 83. We get the same content back from the target machine. So I think next I'm going to focus on the default port number 80 because the two applications are the same. Okay, so now let's bring back the terminal window because just now I've already noticed a Gobuster has already found to do textual file. Okay, to do text. So let me make the font to be bigger so you can see what's going on exactly. So to do, remember to delete the file after you finish writing the bash automatic script. Do I really look like a guy with a plane? You know what I am. I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. You know, I just do things. So I think this to-do file is giving us some kinds of hint. As you know, Gobuster, if we bring back the terminal window, Gobuster can't find anything else. So I'd like to interrupt here. Actually, in this case, we need to, you know, because from the hint left by the author, you know, there would be some kinds of bash shell script running on the server. So we need to find such script, shell script. This simply means we need to put the extension or different extension, sh, okay? Press enter. But I'd like to tell you, although the extension is fine, it's good, but, oh, okay, we find this one. So joke. Maybe I'm a bit confused. So without too much time, Gobuster has successfully found this shell script. So next we can take a look at this shell script. Joke. And we download this shell script to Kali Linux. So now we can move from downloads directory to current working directory. Now we can take a look at this shell script. So the script description. So script for authentication in progress. At the moment, it only works with a single command, Q, and we find this directory. Of course, we cannot use normal word list to support such directory name. Let's copy and paste on our notebook. So don't use commands like that in automated scripts. I saved a file with some network traffic packets captured. So I think this line is giving us another hint. Maybe we can find the pcap file. Okay, so we can use the same Gobuster, but in this case we need to use different word list. Okay, very important. So how to do? Let me change. So this case, the extension should be pcap, but also we need to change the word list because of limited time. Anyway, I do not want the video to be very, very long. Okay, so I'd like to turn to the right word list. So word list, lock you, and extension option, press enter. As you can see, almost immediately find this pcap file. We can copy and download it to our working directory on the Linux. Download it, and then we can move from downloads directory to the current working directory. And also just now we have already found this directory. Let's copy, put in the end. So Glasgow Smile 2 submitted by admin. So this is a possible username. Welcome, brothers. Blah, blah, blah. We are trying to completely rebuild the platform, trying to improve security. I present to you Glasgow Smile 2. No one can stop us now. And blah, blah, blah. Do you want? Why serious? Login. We find this login page, and we can try to use admin and admin to log in, but it's not working. And also we can try to use login bypass technique. Okay, anything login, but not working either. Let's go back to the home page. Okay. So just now, this shell script also told us the cookie. The user password. So now I think let's have a look at the pcap file with Wireshark, right? To see what we can get from this network traffic capture file. And HTTP, and we can follow HTTP stream, and we can find this basic authentication string. We can copy and we can decode it, and we can get the username and password. Fantastic. We can copy and paste over here. Now we can use this password to log in. Okay, admin login. So it's working. So structure admin, manage. So next we need to find the location where we can manipulate, for example, upload malicious reverse shell file. It looks like this CMS or this application is Drupal. It's another popular CMS like WordPress. So configuration. So next, maybe we can, we can use Drupal Enumeration 2 to see whether we can get the version, and also we can see whether this version is vulnerable or not. Okay, so how to do? We can use the Droopescan. Oh, sorry, I think I need to activate the virtual environment of Python, and now we can run Droopescan, and you can use the H option to get its usage. Okay, so the scan followed by the type of CMS Drupal. Press enter. So now it's trying to find modules or plugins, and also trying to detect version of this Drupal. If we can find version information, then we can launch such a exploit to see whether this version can be exploitable. Okay, maybe I need to pause the video to save time. All right, I'm back. As you can see over here, we have already got the result by these two. In order to use these two, you need to use pip installer 2 to install it. But of course, the installation itself is very simple. So now we can use such a exploit, Drupal, and to see whether we can find exploit. Even you can notice here, the Metasploit has corresponding module to work for this, CMS. So now let's launch Metasploit console. And now we can search Drupal. And you can try one by one, but I'd like to take this one. For now, we can copy the relative path, or you can use index, but I prefer to use relative path. This is very personal habit. And then we can, of course, you can leave the payload to default one. Okay, so now we can show options, and we need to set local host to our Kali Linux. Set the local port number like 555. You can use any port number which is available on your machine. Okay, and also we need to set remote host to our target, and also we need to set, this is authenticated exploit. So we do not need to specify, the username and password. But anyway, we need to specify the URI or URL of the, or directory which is running Drupal, and we can copy it from the browser. Okay, press enter. So now let's run it to see whether we can get Metasploit session. The target is vulnerable. Metasploit session when opened. Beautiful. And then I think we can spawn a normal shell. Okay, although Metasploit is very powerful, but in most cases, we need to get normal shell. So then we can run normal commands. Okay, so now we can run shell, and we need to know, or we need to spawn interactive shell by Python. Python 2 is available, so then we can import pty module. Okay, and also I'd like to define environment variable term. Then we can clear screen whenever to get a bigger space on the window. Okay. Now let's go to home directory. We are going to gather information as much as possible to make lateral movement and afterwards privilege escalation. Let's cd to Benny. This is the second user flag. Let's go back. cd carnage. So this is the third user flag. Go to reader. This should be the first user flag. And volume. And this is the fourth user flag. So I think we need to take the following order to gather information or make lateral movement. Okay, so the first user should be reader, right? Am I right? Reader. Yes, reader. So order lateral movement. Of course, based on my practice, if you use local exploit to elevate privilege directly, you do not need to care about that. But this is not what is supposed by, by the author, and we are going to take the path which is supposed or which was designed by the author of this machine. Okay, so the order should be, the reader, and then, so I think would be Benny, right? Yes, Benny, and then carnage. Okay, carnage. So there will be a long way to go. Okay, so again, please be paired with me. And the last user should be Vellum. Sorry about this. Okay, so how to make lateral movement to reader? Let's navigate into this directory again. We can go inside this directory to see what it's about. But at this moment, current user, www-data doesn't have any permission to these files. So next we can go to opt directory. So get out. So help. So I think we can upload Nimpier's shell script, right, to perform automatic enumeration. I've already got this script ready. Yeah, this one. Now we need to upload this script to the target machine. So how to do? We can set up a web server on the Kali Linux. So now the web server has started. So now we can use wget to upload Nimpier's clear, and we need to make it executable, and then we can run it to see whether we can find any vector which allow us to make lateral movement or privilege escalation. Okay, in most cases, if the target machine is Linux, and if we want to make lateral movement or privilege escalation, we need to make use of this script, because with this script, a lot of rich information about the target machine can be, can be gathered. Okay. A lot of output. Okay, it's done. Let's scroll up. So capabilities, binaries with capabilities, SUID, binaries or files with SUID bit. So the database, username, and password. We can copy, paste over here. Since we have really got access to this CMS, maybe such credentials will be of no interest to us. Active ports. We find this port number. At the very beginning, we have already seen this port number, but the Mmap identified this port number as filtered. So why? Because this port is only open locally. So maybe next we can, we need to set up port forwarding, and then we can, we can access this port number through such port forwarding. So how to do? So there will be different ways like Metasploit, also socat. We can check whether socat is available or not. Yeah, it's available. So now I'm going to utilize the socat to set up port forwarding. But this command is a bit complicated. I'd like to use Google to get help. Okay, so cat port forwarding. And so which one? Maybe this one? I don't know. I think port forwarding, and we can so I think this one, right? We can copy and paste over here. So this should be local one. And port number, I think we can use 6666. Let's copy and paste over here. I'd like to use this. This will be running as background process. Okay, so now if we bring back the browser, access this port number, press enter. So now we have already got access from Kali Linux, and this is Glasgow Smile to login form. Let's log in. Also, we can check its source code and click login. And we need to provide the username and password like admin and admin. Login, but not working. And also we can try to use this password to log in. We can copy and paste over here. Oh, sorry. What I'm doing is login, but is incorrect. Okay, so now we can take a look at its source code. Scroll down, and we can find this address. We can copy. I'm sure you are very familiar with this type of address or URL. So possibly page is vulnerable to local file inclusion vulnerability, right? We can copy and try it out. So here we can use path traversal technique. Okay. Oh, sorry, what am I doing? We successfully get back the content of this password file. But this is, you know, what we want, right? So what can we do next? We need to continue our enumeration. For example, as we know, this target, this is running injects. So next I'm going to retrieve configuration file of injects. So attack injects conf. Okay, and we can get, maybe we can get a better view from the source code. So Apache 2, reader application. So events. We have to be very carefully. So we can find this, this should be the site configuration or location for the site configuration. So now I'm going to copy and so this should be default config. And now we can check its source code again. And then we can find this location. Yeah, this one we can copy and paste over here. So we can retrieve this file. Index PHP. And we got this a bit weird. I have billions of eyes, yet I live in darkness. I have minutes, blah, 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 years. Actually, we have to copy this question and use Google to make some research, and then you can get the answer. You can show the answers, and this is the answer. We can copy and put it over here, submit, and then you can get this string. And this string is password for the next user. Okay, so how to do? The first user is reader, right? Reader. So we can cd or switch to reader. Great, it does work. Beautiful. then we can get the first flag. Okay, so now we can notice this directory above this user flag. We can cd to this directory, and now I think it comes to the difficult part of this machine. And here we can take a look at the burn. This some kinds of PHP code. And in order to understand it more clearly, we can use online service to format it. Yeah, this one. So which one? Yeah, this one. It's much clearer. Okay. Let's go back, and also we can find the info, some help, and also we can take a look at this file. Okay, maybe this is a sum, doesn't matter, message. So we can get 2 keys and encrypted string. So now our job is to decrypt this string with 2 keys. Very important. To do that, we need to understand this PHP code. Let me copy this code and save it to new file and save. We can call it like navigate to our working directory. So this should be, the name is burn PHP. Press enter. So now, because of a highlight, and this is easier for us to understand what's going on here. So define the function, the first function, and the second function, and the third function, encrypt. Next, this should be, this should be the path or file name. We have already seen that, right? And can read a line. We can input string to encrypt, okay? And then we'll call this function. So what this function does, we'll open this file. I mean, this one, this file. And then, this is the number or the variable initially set to 0. And we'll get each line. So I think basically this piece will get the number or count of lines of this file, okay? In this case, how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So I think these few lines is to count the lines of the file, and then we'll restore the pointer of this file to the beginning of the file. And then we'll set this variable to 0, and we'll get the random number between 0 and the total number, okay? So we'll try to get the line. So basically, whenever run this function, we'll get back random line from the file, okay? Random line. For example, maybe you run it the first time you get this line, but you run it next time you will get another line, okay? You get my idea. And so what this function does, so the GWS function and the argument or parameter, and it will split the string to characters, okay? Or the array, the returned, the function returns the array, and it will loop over this array, and it will, convert each character to, ordinal, okay, format. And then the function will encrypt. So this is the flag. And again, we'll split or get array from the string. And we'll loop over this array. So every time, the flag would be changed or alternate between true and false. So this will set it to this variable. Okay, I think I know what this piece of code does. And I don't think So maybe we can run it to see what it's about, okay? So we can run burn, but we got error, so we can use PHP run engine to run it. So we can, for example, we got a key, right? But this time the key 1 is empty, but the key 2 is this line. So both keys are retrieved from this file randomly. For example, if you run it again, burn, and this time even the original string is same, but the keys are different. So this time, of course, this time I make them laugh a lot. But when we run this, the key is this one. You get my idea, okay? And encrypt string would be different. And every time, and also we can notice the encrypt string would be separated by F, uppercase F or A, okay? And the number. Why? Because this is the number and plus. So I think this should be what? Should be the key, right? And the key here is the integer of the string, okay? The input is a string, but return the integer. And every time, the int character would be different. For example, one time would be F, but another time, when we iterate over this array, would be the F. Okay. So just now, I think we have already got the key, right? From this one, this encrypted string. Okay. So what's? Yeah, the key one. So maybe I can copy it and paste over here. So this simply means we do not need to care about this function. Yeah, this function, because this case the key is fixed, right? Is fixed. The key one is this line, and key 2 is this line. Both are from that file. In this file, yeah, Joker in the pack. So I think we can get the. I want to get the number, because this number would be, would be added to this number, right? Oh, sorry, will be added to this number for each when we iterate over this array. But this one is fixed. Just will be two possible results, two keys. Okay. So now I think we can. I think we can write a Python program to calculate, the result of these two keys, key string. Okay, I don't like PHP. I prefer to use Python. So very simple. We just convert this function to Python. That's all. And we can new Python file. We can call it like GWS, but extension is Python. And so how to do? We can, input string. We can use input. Please input string. Okay. And then, so how to do? This function in PHP will return array, but Python also has similar way, but not a function. Another way to convert it to a list, which is very simple. We can use so input string list input string. Okay. And now we can iterate over this list, right? So result for now is 0, right? And we can loop over for I in input string list. So how to do? We can result, and so we can call it auth. So convert character to integer, right? So maybe we can auth I. And I think that's all. We can print out the result. So now we can run it. So GWS, we can input string. And the first key is this one. We can copy. Okay. And we can run it one more time. To get the calculated result of this string. Okay. So we got the number, two numbers. Next, we need to use Python to implement decrypt function. So how to do? Let me new file. So decrypt. Okay. And also we can call it like encrypt string. We can call function input. So please input encrypted string. And first of all, we need to, message. First of all, we need to convert this string to a list. And we need to convert groups. For example, the first group and the second group and the third group. Okay. So now how to do? I think we can define the variable list, but for now is empty. Okay. Now we can define the, for example, like a first index is 0, last index is also 0, and now for I in so we can use range function, length of encrypted string. Okay. So if encrypt string index I equal f, it means that, for example, initially I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When index come to f, it means that we need to extract this piece. Okay, so how to do? And we can, we can, so encrypted list append and encrypt string from, from I think from I to, or here, I think last can set to I plus 1. Okay, so this case should be, for example, I is 0, I to 4. And we can use the first index to last index minus 1. Now we need to set first index to last index. Similarly, we can do it for the case when, separator is A. Now, before we go on, I'd like to print out this list. Okay, Python decrypt. So we can copy the encrypted string to see whether we can, make, or we can group this string to different groups. Okay. But we miss the A. It's not good. We also need to put A or F in the end. So how to do? I think it should be index. Let's run one more time. Yes, this is what we want. So now we have already convert or group this encrypted string to, the list. And then for each item in the list, we can calculate or decrypt to the original character. So how to do? Let me bring back the terminal window. So now we can for I in encrypted string list, if I is F, even though they are using the key 1. Okay, so how to do? Of course, the number should be, I Okay, so now we can learn. So just now we have already got the result, right? So should be, yeah. And if I equals to A, and then we can minus. Am I right? Yes, it's correct. So now also we need to initialize the variable password, but now it's empty. So password, we can use this function to convert ordinal to string or character. Okay. Now we can, in the end, we can print out the password. So now let's run it, and we can copy this string, encrypted string. As you can see, we successfully get a password for the next user. Fantastic. Okay, so now we can switch to user. So the second user is which one? Benny. Switch. Sorry about this. Benny. Now we can get the user, the second user flag without problem. Here we can detect SSH directory. You know, I like SSH collection. SSH is much stable, right, than current one. So we can cd to this directory, and we can get its private key. And so we can copy this private key and create it locally. Okay. In order to use this private key, we need to change mode to 400. And also we need to create authorized keys. So we just simply copy public key to authorized keys. It's done. Now we can SSH to Benny. Great. So now I think it's much better. So what can we do next? For example, we can run sudo to see whether we can run sudo. Benny. So what's the password? We can copy it from notebook. So we can, we can make a lot of movement to this user by running command make. And you can go to the website of GTF Obins to get the help. So now we can simply copy the first line and sudo and bin make. Then we can copy this part of the command. As you can see, we have already become the user Carnage. Okay, so now we can get the cert user flag. Fantastic. Okay, so now also we can find, after all, this machine is very typical CTF machines, and we need to look for hints somewhere. For example, here should be get out. We can get out, and we can the devil. Devil. vulnerable. What's this? Vulnerable. Devil zip. We need to make more enumeration. Even here, we can find this get out directory. cd to get this directory, and we can find this help. So I wrote a script that blah 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 automatically allow you to have a zip of your personal folder. We have already noticed this personal folder. Even if you delete the zip by mistake, it will be created again. So this simply means there will be some kind of shell script running at the background, right? And it's run. I think this should be this Python script. However, current user doesn't have permission to this file, to this Python script. But maybe or possibly this script is going to utilize the zip file module. So I'm going to create our own zip file module in the current directory. So how to do? Maybe we can use, so how about nano? Nano is available, nano zip file. And we can import OS module, OS system, and we can run command like netcat, IP address of the Kali Linux port number, maybe different port number, and we can save it and exit. And I think we can make it executable, and then we can set up another listener on the Kali Linux, waiting for collection from the target machine. Because you can see here, this script, also you can upload PHP utility to the target machine, and you will know indeed the user is running this script regularly. Okay, so I think if no error, zip file. So this should be a zip file. Maybe I need to confirm. So the Python zip file module. Yeah, zip file module is there. Okay, we have already got another collection and which belongs to VulnHub. Great. And we can spawn interactive shell by Python. Now we can get the false user flag. Now we can run sudo again, but we didn't have the password for this user. And so we can run command find. We want to find binaries which has SUID bit. A lot of files, and they look like some kinds of custom files. So let's go to this directory. Go to this directory. All of them has SUID bit. So let's run it. Batman. Got some error. So how about this one? Segmentation. You can try all of them one by one, but I'm going to run this one to save time of this video. This time we can run this file normally. So next we can use strings to retrieve readable characters from this file. And you can see this file or this binary will run this command cat, and this cat is not in absolute path, so we can manipulate cat, or we can create our own cat. Okay, so how to do? We can navigate to temp directory and echo bin bash to cat. Of course, we need to make it executable, and also we need to change path variable to include the current temp directory. Okay, path temp. Okay, so now if we go back to this directory again, run. CD and so we can run this binary, this custom binary. You can see we have already become root user, and now we can navigate to root directory, and then we can grab the root flag. Of course, this case we cannot use cat command because the cat has already been changed by us. But this doesn't matter. We can use any other command like more to get the root flag. So I think that's pretty much it about this video. I hope you can enjoy this. Okay. So